we're going to switch to Tom Peerbolt. Tom, there's stairs over there if you want. Everyone keeps walking to that side. Oh, right? Okay. Almost as good of an entrance as Lionel in some of those movie clips we saw earlier today. Not yet. So here you go, Tom.
Okay. So I'm Tom Peerbolt, Peerbolt Crop Management, and I'm doing the. Can you guys hear me without messing with that? If I see anybody sleeping out there, we'll just squeal it really well. Okay. I've got a handout coming around. I'm trying to make better comparison type things. So this is a work in progress. Take it for what it is. Don't take it terribly. I think by next year we should have something better. But it gives you a good comparison. So I think most of you folks know what this is about. I'm taking the more promising selections and putting larger trials in the ground, a number of different places. And this is funded through the Washington Blueberry Commission, or the Washington Red Raspberry Commission. So the goal is basically to supply you guys and the industry with much needed faster and hopefully more reliable information on new planting options. The trial sizes we're using are large on-farm trials, 100 to 250 plants a piece. So we get enough fruit to be able to run it through a processing plant and run a machine over it. And the idea is that we can share this information with everybody at the same time so you can make wiser decisions. Helps the nurseries know what's going to be in demand and what they can have ready. And it helps the breeding programs to know better how their stock is actually performing in the field. So that's the goal. This is one that we just started out with to give you an idea of the size of this. This is down in Southwest Washington, Jerry Dobbins' farm. Just put in 2014. And this is the one we've got at Enfields that was put in back in 2012, one of the first ones. We've also got some going with blackberries that are funded from the Oregon Raspberry Blackberry Commission. So these are also crops, obviously, that might have some interest for folks up here. This is one from 2015, just this last year, out on Sauvie Island. So concentrating on the raspberries, these are the ones we've got in the ground right now. We did take out the ones at Sakumas. So Sakumas is no longer there. They just decided to go in a different direction and didn't have room to keep it going. Mentioning just Lewis, we had 3 trials last year, and you can see the write-up on the handout that came around too. Lewis is one that there was quite a bit of interest in, and you can see the results we had. There's a possibility there was some trouble with the planting stock. But I don't think I'll go forward with any more of these unless you folks have some different feedback for me too. It just appears to be very susceptible to root rot. And this gives you an idea. I threw Lewis in there. Enfields was kind enough to kind of share some of their small plot trials. This isn't from a large Lewis plot, but the four that really like to concentrate on for this presentation are the ones that we put in just in 2012. We've got the most stuff on, which is Cascade Harvest, Rudy, 1948, and 1912. Let me go back one there. And this is from a heavier site at Ralph Meineker's. The Enfield site's on a really good soil. It's really high input, high production. The idea here is to get the look at the same thing under different conditions. So Ralph's on a much higher, heavier soil, not so much inputs, and you can see some of the differences between how they perform. You know, one thing I want to get across, and Michael and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, is that we do have some excellent root rot material out there. It's got issues. Cascade Bounty is just a cast iron plant. It's amazing. And these other two that we got in the trial at this point, 1912 and 1948. Michael, you're smiling down there. It just to are both also showing very good root rot resistance or tolerance. There's a trade-off for these. If you've got a heavy soil, you got to have something that works, that actually stays alive. And we've got a couple of growers with Cascade Bounty down in Oregon who are making a good living at it. They're making good money off them. The plants live. You get a crop of berries that are not as high quality as you might not like, but if it's economic, it's economic. So we've got this in the program. Some of these other ones we're looking at, they might have some resistance, and hopefully down the road we'll be able to marry these qualities, or Pat will be able to marry these qualities. We'll have to see. But the ones that do have excellent ones, Cascade Bounty, as I said, there's a couple of growers in Oregon who are getting a fair percentage of IQF fruit out of it. It crumbles, it's small, doesn't have the greatest flavor, but there are processors who are taking it and they're getting a product out of it on very heavy soils. (1912) I'll talk about more in a second. It's got a lot of good qualities, as Pat mentioned too. It's a beautiful berry and it's got fantastic flavor, but it really is small. And 1948, you know, it might have some good tolerance or resistance, but it really does have a negative flavor. But again, if we can work around some of these, if you get a plant that works in the ground, I think we need to start looking at these at least transitionally, as far as, are they economic? Do you want us to go forward with some of this stuff? What's on the bottom there? Yeah, these are just the ones that are coming up. I mean, if these have really good fruit quality, if they also show potential, we could be in the right ballpark. So just to go through these four that we've had in the ground the longest. Rudy, I think most of you, or I shouldn't say that, It's already planted a fair amount, produces very early crop. Harvesting period is very concentrated. Good yields, works for some folks. Um, Seems to have a tendency to mold. I've seen some situations where it really gets going and is hard to control. It was good to put it in this trial. I don't think we need any more trials of it. I think you guys know what Rudy is, or the information is out there for it. This is one of the pictures from Ralph on the higher ground, heavier ground. It certainly does have some susceptibility to root rot. Probably not as much as some of the other ones, but it's not the answer as far as heavy soils go. At least to me, it depends on what your soil is. This is the one that last year at this point, boy, I was really, really excited about. And you know, it's just the root rot issue on the heavier sites has really shown up. We'll see it over the next couple of years to see where it fits in. Fruit quality is great. Yields are pretty good. We've got quite a bit of it in the ground, so I think we'll be able to answer those questions over the next couple of years or get a lot better idea of it. One issue that we were seeing in all the test plantings, in about maybe 5% of the plants, was crumbly fruit. This isn't a virus. We think it's related to tissue culture. But keep an eye on it. If you got new plantings going in, see how much of this you've got. We should keep an eye on it, but don't be surprised if you see a little bit of it. And again, as I was saying, there's a lot of really attractive things about 1912. It's a really pretty berry. It tastes great. Very upright growth. If you know Cascade Bounty, it's got that same very vertical growth. Very tight, but it's very, very small fruit. I don't think the yields are there, but it's something that we got to look at yet. We'll look at it again for another year. There's a lot of attractive things about it. That just kind of shows that upright growth. It really holds itself up well. It'd be nice to run a machine over. It's really attractive in the field as far as primocane management would go. (1948). It looks like it's got good root rot resistance. Go back a second. I think that was one of those pictures that had, I'm sorry, there was a picture that I thought showed Cascade Bounty right behind the Cascade Harvest, and you can see the difference in the root rot tolerance. 1948, it's decent. It has a real yellowish. You've got that picture of the leaf down there because it had a real off color, very yellowish, all the way through all the plantings we were looking at, and not quite sure what was going on. It just seemed to be a characteristic. I've gotten lost here in my own pictures. But boy, you taste it and it just really threw it off. It's not good tasting. But again, it's got some of these really good characteristics. And it holds it, it's got these very, very laterals that holds out the fruit very differently. So there's these other characteristics besides just looking at just the fruit pictures that I think we need to consider as far as what's going to work for you in the field. Um, so I think we keep looking for a silver bullet. And for some of you, you don't need that perfect plant that's going to work in every situation. And that's it. If you'd like to participate, you can contact me, Henry, at the commission office. Randy Honkoop's the research chair. And that's what I got. Any